off your camera, you can still participate, and we will be interpreting this into Spanish. If you have any problem with the session, let me know. I will be the tech support person. I will try to get you back on so that you're able to hear. If you're listening to this in English, just remain on this channel. Hola, buenas tardes y bienvenidos a esta sesión del Encuentro de Cooperativas. Vamos a estar hablando del mercado popular, cartografía que necesita la comunidad. Tenemos un canal en español, así que si van a la parte de abajo de su pantalla de Zoom, tienen un globo que dice interpretación. Pueden cambiar el audio a Spanish, a español, y van a poder escuchar la traducción de todo lo que está sucediendo. También vamos a estar grabando esta sesión, así que si no quieren aparecer ustedes o que aparezca el lugar en donde están, pueden apagar su cámara y pueden participar de todos modos por audio o en el chat con preguntas. Y si tienen alguna cuestión técnica, mándenme un mensaje que yo voy a estar ayudando con la cuestión técnica. And we're all set. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And you now see on the screen an offering, which I have also placed in the chat, to go ahead and introduce yourselves, using your name, preferred pronouns, location, and any one thing that you are passionate about. As the session proceeds, we invite further comments, questions, and exchanges with others and others in the chat. This is meant to be a participatory session, and you will also see me using a tool that is perhaps imperfect, but it is something that I have learned to employ in my facilitation from the wonderful language justice folks, such as those we have on the line, which is DeepL. And so I will make apologies for anything that is imperfect in those translations, but I will try to do some simultaneous things in the chat and be supported by our translation team, our interpretation team. Thank you very much. So if you've not already introduced yourself in the chat, again, I will invite you to tell us your name, preferred pronouns, location, and one thing you are passionate about. And just kind of highlighting a few folks who have already gone here. Before we pivot to the next slide, we've got Steve with Shy Commons, worker co-op in Chicago, for business and technology services to cooperatives. There's Charity, passionate about plants. Hillary, supporting the cooperative economy or building and supporting the cooperative economy. Abby, passionate about meditation, community approaches to harm. And so we've got a range of different passions in the room, and we will hopefully explore more of your passions as we get deeper into this session. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot to the next slide here, but continue to introduce yourself as necessary. So today we will be doing an offers and needs market. My name is Mike Strode. I am the coordinator of the Kola Nut Collaborative, which is a Chicago area time bank. Inspired initially by a time bank out of St. Louis called Cowrie Collective, and certainly drawing inspiration from time banks elsewhere, including the Dane County Time Bank in Madison, and really drawing on a desire to build distributed community networks that can support diverse ways of sharing and supporting one another, diverse ways of mapping the assets that exist in a community, and finding out what needs exist and doing some matchmaking between those. And this offers and needs market tool that I have learned from the Post-Growth Institute, which I'll explain, is one of those ways that I hope to that I hope to continue engaging and supporting networks and doing those sorts of sharing. So a little bit of what we will be doing today. And, I will probably be shaving time on some of these things just because this agenda, is limited to the time we have, and so set the 75 minutes. We've shaved a little bit now. So we'll be doing a little bit of welcome, which we've already done. I'll be introducing the offers and needs market model. We will do a little bit of the offers market, and then we will have a little connection space after that. That will be followed by, we may take a brief break just, within the session. Then we will follow that with the needs market, do a little bit of connection after that. And then I will drop a survey in the chat where we have an opportunity to reflect on our experience, and we will close. So we will do all of those things, hopefully in the time that we have allotted here. And then, there we go. Thank you very much for that correction, Charity. And then we will just have an opportunity to reflect and engage, again, on our experience and close out strong. So I invite any questions on that agenda in the chat. And hopefully, as we move to this experience, you will have an opportunity to think about how you might take this tool and use it. You don't need to give myself or Post Growth Institute any credit. Take this tool, use it in your networks, experiment with how you might do this sort of local resource sharing, and then, continue building these larger networks from there. Check. So a little bit of introduction to how I come to this space. So what is the Kola Nut Collaborative? So I've explained a little bit that the Kola Nut Collaborative is a Chicago area time bank where we try to institute this type of community-based skill sharing and in small distributed nodes and neighborhoods around the city. But it grows out of a larger effort called the Healthy Food Hub, which was connected to an eco-campus in the historically Black farming community of Pembroke Township called Black Oak Center for Sustainable Renewable Living. And at one point within the Healthy Food Hub, we tried to implement a sort of time banking mechanism. And here you see us doing a yarn activity, which is a very common activity within time bank communities, where we were trying to map out what are the web of connections that we have inside of this Healthy Food Hub, and what are the skills that we can potentially be sharing across this web. And unseen in this photo is Chinyere from St. Louis of the Cowrie Collective, who was supporting us with this activity. But this is just an example of what this particular framework around the Kola Nut Collaborative and my experience around the offers and needs market grows out of. It grows out of a food-based food sovereignty effort, in which a community was trying to figure out, we have already come together around food. What are the other possibilities? What are the other connections that we might have within our network that we can use to support one another? And just kind of giving folks an understanding, what is time banking? For those who may not be familiar, time banking simply means a web of reciprocity where time is the currency. It's simply people taking the hours that they have, investing them or supporting another person with those hours, and then gaining a type of currency in the time bank that they can spend for other services that they would like. Someone shoots a YouTube video for another person, earns 3 hours in the time bank. That person, who has now paid those 3 hours, has to maybe support someone else, captioning a video or cleaning a studio. But all of these transactions, all of these connections are being traded around the time bank using no money. So the idea is really just that our time is the method of exchange, and it's a way that we can share with one another. And now I want to share, what an offers and needs market is. So an offers and needs market is really a guided process whereby community members can meet virtually or in person, identify and exchange their passion, knowledge, skills, resources, and opportunities and needs. And then this is something that I learned from Post Growth Institute. And it came about 2 years after I had already launched the Time Bank, where I was experimenting with different facilitation techniques to figure out how to get communities to share these types of offers and needs with one another. And it became a very important part of the facilitation that I do within the Time Bank because, just bringing people to a platform is not very inspiring and does not get people to connect and does not get people to build relationships, but helping them to bring the practice into their life and bring the practice into their organizations has shown to be a much more impactful technique for getting people then to use the platform to exchange. So that today we are basically sharing the practice. And if you have a time bank near you, I would encourage you, explore. Maybe you can take the practice once it's embedded in your organization and move it on to a time bank that you're using locally. And now I just kind of want to hone in on why an offers and needs market might be important. So, here you see my young child, before they turned 19. And so this child was enrolled in a school called Betty Shabazz International Charter School, wanted to learn how to play the shekere. And me, although having being in a community where African instrumentation was very common, I did not necessarily know a shekere instructor that could support that desire. But someone in the community connected me to Mama Vivian. Mama Vivian is a long time, was a long time shekere instructor, and she loved when young people learned to play the shekere because it was an uncommon instrument. People want to learn to play the drums, people want to learn to play the bells, but the shekere is a unique storytelling instrument, and she wanted to pass on that tradition to young children in the school. So she was like, of course, I would be glad to teach Jakaya to play the shekere, and I will do it for no cost, right? I will offer this for free. So this is a way that my community connected me to an offer. That my need was connected to an offer in the community. And then that was followed up by another need where I was like, wow, Jakaya is really passionate about this shekere. I would love if I could provide her with a custom shekere. And so, I talked to Mama Vivian and she was like, I know the person, a former student who is an artisan who knows how to carve these gourds and then teach and can offer custom shekeres. I did not contextualize a shekere is just a beaded instrument. You shake it, has a wonderful sound, has the gourd with the sort of the echoes and the resonance. And so Mama Vivian hooked me up with a student. They charged a very fair artisan wage, probably about $300. And me, I was glad to pay because, this is a custom crafted gourd. And so here we have two different transactions, one for free, one for $300, both of them fulfilling a need that I had and both of them supporting an offer that these two folks had in community. And the offers and needs market is really a way to surface some of these collaborations, surface some of these opportunities to connect our offers and connect our needs. And I hope that this is the experience you might have today as we move through this offers and needs market. So a little bit of contextualization before we actually jump into you reflecting on your offers and your needs. So what kind of offers can people exchange in an offers and needs market? Just about anything, but just so that we have some categories that folks can wrap their heads around, anything you're passionate about, any knowledge or perspectives you have, any skills or services that you can offer, any opportunities that you are connected to, any resources that you know about. These are all things that you have the capacity and the ability to exchange within the offers and needs market framework. And then deepening, around those things, what are some passions? Well, maybe you do like hiking, or me, I love urban cycling. I know a lot about, road bikes and running over and moving over concrete and dodging traffic. These are things I'm passionate about. I know a little bit about nonviolent communication. So perhaps, I can share some of those techniques and those passions with you. Knowledge and perspectives. Do you know something about the Quaker method of coming to consensus? Might be helpful. Who knows? That's a knowledge and perspective that you can drop in. Or maybe you know about urban agriculture and irrigation and the water issues in Chicago. Skills and services. Can you support people around graphic design or language justice? Or something really informal. I love fermentation. You'll find out how much I love fermentation later. Opportunities. Maybe you know about a really great job, particularly I'm always looking for facilitation opportunities. But maybe those are things that you can connect people to, or maybe some other type of software that you're using in your cooperative and you can tell someone about it. Is it a resource? Do you know someone who has a car for sale? Do you know someone who has a particular, open space, commercial space for rent? Anything like that. Podcast. I love telling people about podcasts. These are all different types of things. Again, passions, knowledge and perspectives, skills and services, opportunities and resources we can connect people to, and that might support them that we don't think are valuable. And through the offers and needs market, we can give them more value. All right, and now we are off to the good part. This is where you will have the opportunity to dig into an offers market and then figure out how it applies to you. So I'm going to go ahead and drop some questions into the chat, but you see those questions on the screen and I will just read them off before I drop them into the chat. What am I passionate about? You've said some of that already. What resources am I connected to? What hidden talents would I love to share with another person? What is something people always ask me about? So I want you to take about 7 minutes to just, maybe grab a piece of paper and then do a little bit of journaling on some of those things. What am I passionate about? What resources am I connected to? What hidden talents would I love to share with another person? What is something people always ask me about? So you can take those questions there, and I will, again, drop some things in the chat for you in just a moment. All right, I'm just going to repaste in the chat for those just joining. We're in a moment of reflection for about another 4 minutes on the questions that are on the screen, pasting those questions in the chat. And oh wait, only half of those questions pasted. But yeah, we're in a moment of reflection about the questions that are in the chat, and the yeah, and just just answering those questions for yourself. Grab a notebook, grab a piece of paper, and then in a moment we'll shift into how we frame an offers pitch for the next segment. Check. All right. I know this was a slight reflection period, but we are preparing to close it. I just want to ask, would anyone like more time? You can put a Y in the chat. If you want more time to hold with these questions, just put a Y in the chat. Okay, once again, would anyone like more time? You can put a Y in the chat. Okay, all right, so I am not seeing anyone requesting more time, just holding for a brief moment before I pivot to the next slide. Okay, so then I am going to go to the next slide, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about this offers market pitch. So this offers market pitch is a really, really simple pitch. And the importance of the pitch is that we want to make sure that people who are going through this offers process do so in a way that is succinct and to the point, and we can afterwards, after we do the pitch session, we can then have a little space for connecting for people to like ask clarifying questions and be able to follow up on offers that they've heard that they might want to connect upon. So we're going to, in a moment, try to facilitate a round, just one quick round of this offers market pitch, and then we'll see where we are on time if we want to do a second round. But again, these are techniques that you can take with you and do within your own cooperative and do within your own networks. But the basic anatomy of this offers pitch is going to be offer, what is the thing that you want to offer? Is it fermentation? Is it insight into Quaker consensus? Is it something else? Availability, when are you available? All right, anytime, fixed, emergency, whatever is your availability. What's the location? Is it a specific geographic region or is it virtual? And then what's the cost? Again, the cost is what's important to you. Is it dollars per hour? Is it a fixed cost? Is it barter? Or are you part of a time bank where you would be willing to exchange hours? Is it negotiable? Is it free? So what would nourish you around this exchange? Some resources we might give away for free, and some resources we do need to be paid for. You determine that. This is all voluntary, and this is all really important around how you value your time. So I will go ahead and give an example of this offers pitch, and just, starting with my name. My name is Mike. I offer support with meeting and workshop design or facilitation for community meetings or other types of meetings, available sometimes on a scheduled basis. The location can be in Chicago or virtual, and I am willing to accept barter, time bank credits, or dollars, depending upon the type of support needed. So that's just a really basic example of an offers pitch. And so I want to give you about 2 minutes to think about one of the things that you wrote down in answer to those questions that you might want to put into that offers pitch. And then we're going to try to do a very brief round of the offers market pitch and see how we feel about that. So again, we'll just take 2 minutes for you to isolate and think about one of your offers that fits in that pitch that we can go ahead and examine. And I invite questions in the chat if you do have questions about this process, or you can certainly come on mic and ask a question if you have one. Okay, just want to check. Would anyone like more time? You can put a Y in the chat if you would like more time to think about which offer you are prepared to make. And I just want to assure you that this is practice and experimental. So if you may not be ready to make an exchange on that offer, that's okay. We can take it as a practice run for an exchange you'll make in the future. So again, would anyone like more time? You can put a Y in the chat. Okay, so before I establish my speaking order, I know the interpreter, Eric, may not be participating, but is there anyone who's also just here in a fixed technical role? I just don't see anyone who's named that, so I just want to make sure that I do not put you in the speaking order. Is that your role, Martin, or are there other people who are not actually participating in the session? Okay, well, okay, there we go. All right, so we've got Martin is participating and David is going to observe. Well, David, even though you're observing, feel free to, you can throw an offer in the chat if that's meaningful for you, if that helps you feel included, but no pressure. So give me just a quick moment to establish this speaking order, and then we will be off to the races. Right, moving Julio down. Okay. All right, so the first four on my speaking order, with your consent, I have our Socorro, Abby, Steve, and Charity, and I will put the rest of that order in the chat in just a moment. So if you are prepared to move in that speaking order, if that feels good to you, I will offer you Socorro to start us off. And so remember, just say your offers pitch, and then we'll pass to the next person, and we'll try again have an opportunity to collaborate or connect around offers after this. Check.
¿Podría ser alguien más primero?
Yes, it is on you.
Oh, la verdad es que no escuché la pregunta totalmente. Estoy confusa.
Okay, so just to explain the activity we're doing, we just need you to think about which offer you want to just share into this space. Think about your availability for the offer, think about location, and think about what you would want in, you would want in exchange for sharing that offer with someone. So for example, what I said in my offer was, my name is Mike. I'm offering meeting and workshop design or facilitation to support meetings. I'm available on a scheduled basis. Location can be in Chicago or virtual, and I'm willing to accept barter, time bank credits, or dollars, depending upon the type of support needed. So that's an example of an offer that I was willing to share. And so just if you have an offer you are willing to share into the space, again, it's voluntary and this is practice. So it doesn't have to be something you want to show up to immediately. Yes. Oh, and then I see Julio has invited. Yeah.
Sí, sí.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to pause for a moment and just see if that feels clear to Socorro before I offer you to the round, or if you would prefer to go later. Is that Socorro? Are you okay to go now, or would you prefer to go later?
Bueno, lo voy a hacer, espero esté bien. Ok, ya. Me llamo
Okay.
Socorro. Trabajo para Work Justice Wisconsin y mi destreza es ayudar a la gente, orientarlos a sus derechos y me gusta bastante ayudar a la gente. Ofrezco ayuda aparte de mis horarios de trabajo y siempre estoy abierta para ayudar a las necesidades que tenga la comunidad. Eso es todo.
Okay. Two small amendments. Are you location specific, and what would you want in exchange for this support?
Sí, en Madison, Wisconsin, y que pido cambio. Me gustaría más entrenamiento, si alguien me pudiera ayudar. Tener más información de organizaciones que hagan esto, a lo que yo hago de mi trabajo.
Thank you very much, Socorro. And the speaking order remaining is in the chat. So Abby's next, Steve, Charity, and then so on.
All right, my name is Abby. I am offering, I suppose, an opportunity for project collaboration on an in the works publication to submit writing, any kind of writing, especially around kind of examples of mutual aid and deep care in action, writing around cooperatives, both housing and living cooperatives, and around living in community. I guess the project collaboration is both creating the publication and writing with others in a group community. I am available sometimes on a scheduled basis now and in the future, and it would be in person in Minneapolis and St. Paul or virtual, and the cost would be free.
Oh, okay. And before you go, Steve, I'll just note in the chat, there's a note from Eric, Abby, just about the difficulty hearing you. Cool. All right. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Steve. I'm offering consultation on technology, anything technology related. I've been involved in technology my entire career, over 4 decades. And so I've run across a bunch of different things, technology related. I prefer working virtually, but I could be available to anybody on the CTA or MTA stops in Chicago. I'm available many times of the week, but would prefer to be scheduled anywhere from a couple days to a week in advance. And depending on the type of consultation, I can either accept barter, time banking credits, or dollars. Thank you.
On you, Charity.
Hey, I'm Charity. I kind of panicked a little bit when you asked about talents because I feel like I have no talents, but I do know Madison really well. So I know who to go to or who to ask for any particular issue that comes up for someone. So I'm really good at connecting folks, whether that be service providers or other kind of resources. So I would say that was one thing I can offer. I also have a car, so I can run errands or help people with transportation and rides. I have
Hold
podcast
on, Charity.
suggestions.
Just quick. So just briefly, just one offer per round, just so that we can get everyone in. So one offer, tell us your availability, location, and cost. Check.
Gotcha. I'll run car errands. Availability is usually in the evening or during the day if it's an emergency, and free or translation services as a cost and around Madison.
Go over to David. You're muted, David. Looks like you're speaking.
My bad. So I'm David. I would like to offer landscape design services, small scale. So small scale like residential, maybe small scale commercial. I am available on a scheduled basis in the Madison area or South Central Wisconsin. And I'd be willing to accept, well, I'd like to learn facilitation skills, and I would like to brush up on Spanish. And I could also use time bank credits or dollars. Thank you. Check.
This is Hillary. I think I'm next. I love talking about governance, cooperative values and principles, and decision-making, group decision-making. I would love to have this chat with you if you want to talk more about it. I am available sometimes. Best to email me, and I live in Minneapolis and would do remote meetings like this too. I'm willing to have these chats for free or in exchange for your favorite recipe.
So I have you on the list, Martin, just since you didn't object earlier, but yeah, you're next. And if you're speaking, you're muted.
Sí, estoy en este canal en español porque estoy grabando la sesión, entonces voy a tener que hablar aquí para que me traduzcan. Mi nombre es Martín y puedo ayudar a la gente a saber un poco más sobre data science, sobre ciencia de datos. Estoy dispuesto siempre para hacer una pequeña sesión de 1 hora para poder empezar a aprender cómo hacer análisis de datos sobre nuestra comunidad y nuestros negocios cooperativos. Estoy disponible por internet o aquí en el área de Madison. Y bueno, a cambio de esto es gratis. Me encanta poder compartir lo que sé y lo que he estudiado. Y si es un proyecto más grande, pues podría ser un cambio, un barter, o podría ser dólares.
I think I'm next. This is Kristen. And I just want to say I'm actually pretty sick. And I was actually coming on because I thought it was my turn to speak. I tried to stay like I tried to rest all day to be ready, but then I realized there's a central time difference that I didn't account for. But then I'm very interested in this topic. But I think after I make my offer, I am going to lay down so I have energy to speak. So it's sort of a happy accident. But so my name is Kristen, and I am really passionate about how co-ops and organizations function and how self-management works and different ways to support all of us to live our best selves and access all of our potentials. So I love playing around with different practices and problem solving with groups to try different things on in their organizations to see if things could work a little bit better or help more people thrive. So I'd be willing to have conversations and play around and around that. Then I think I'm copying Mike. I am available sometimes on a scheduled basis. And I'm based in Cincinnati, but virtual would be possible, and willing to accept barter, time bank credits, or dollars, depending upon the type of support needed. I think this is really cool. And I've stayed on despite not feeling good because we have a thing coming up with our whole 14 co-ops are coming together on April 22nd. And I think I want to do a version of this. So anyway, I appreciate being here, and I'm sorry that I'm going to miss part of it.
All right. Thank you, Kristen. And I will forego participating in this round just because I spoke as a part of the pitch session. So we'll have a very brief space instead of that 8 minutes for connecting. So if there is a clarifying question that you would like to ask of anyone who has offered, I'll just invite you to throw a C in the chat for comment. So just throw a C in the chat if you want to ask anyone who's made an offer a clarifying question. You can put a C in the chat. So again, you heard a few different offers. I know they came by you quick, but if you wanted to ask a clarifying question of anyone about their offer, put a C in the chat. Okay. All right. Well, I will invite you to just continue using the chat. If there's someone you wanted to connect with or follow up on, you can certainly, throw a message in the chat and exchange contact details there. And now we do have a space for about a 3-minute break, just so that we can reset ourselves. And then right after that, we will come into a needs market reflection. So that'll be the next stage of the activity. I'm going to go ahead and switch the slide, but feel free to just take 3 minutes to pause, reset yourself. If you need to take a bio break, do that. And we will resume just a moment at 3 minutes.
Mike, did you say that we can use the chat now for reaching out to folks about their offers?
Absolutely, yeah. Feel free to, chat to one another until we're back from break. Well, actually, break is about to end, so I'm putting some prompts in the chat. But yes, feel free to, lean in and talk to each other. And thank you, Kristen. I'll make sure to pull you out of the round for as an observer. Okay, so I see some connection happening there in the chat. So hope you feel, have an opportunity to feedback in on that. I'm going to go ahead and throw these needs prompts in the chat and just have an opportunity for you to begin reflecting on those. So just feel free to dig into these 4 questions. For this needs market, what is a challenge I'm experiencing right now? What is something I would like to learn? What is a resource I would like to be connected to? What is something I need the support of other people to do? What is a challenge I am experiencing now? What is something I would like to learn? What is a resource I would like to be connected to? What is something I need the support of other people to do? And we will have about 5 minutes on this one. So, you're shortening the window. It's a little bit, hopefully you've got some practice. Okay, we are preparing to wrap up this reflection period. I just want to invite, would anyone like more time? You can put a Y in the chat if you need more time with the questions. And you can put a Y in the chat if you feel like you need more time with these questions. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and pivot to this next slide and just give us a framing for the needs market pitch, which is not that different from the offers pitch. So in the needs market pitch, you're talking about what you need. Hey, I need an accountability buddy, or as yeah, body doubling, a body doubler. I heard that in a different session. I need, how urgent is this need? Urgent, semi-urgent, not urgent at all? Is it location specific? And then what payment would you be willing to offer someone else to support you with this need? So on both sides of this equation, we're asking you to voluntarily name what the value is that you're willing to exchange. So again, dollars per hour, some fixed costs, barter, negotiable, or you're seeking it for free. So an example of the offer that I would speak forward is, my name's Mike. I need a practice space for organizations which want to implement sociocracy. This is semi-urgent for Sociocracy Academy. The organization can be in Chicago, or I can offer virtual support. And I am asking for this partnership referral for free, barter, or time bank credits. So that's an example of my need that I've expressed. And I just want to hold space for any questions people have about this needs market pitch before I put the speaking order in the chat and offer people the space to do their needs sharing. You can put a Q in the chat if you have a question that you want to ask before we begin the round. Any questions? Just throw a Q in the chat if you have a question before we begin the needs market. Okay. All right. And I do see that a few folks have jumped out. So I've go ahead and adjusted the speaking order. And I do have you up top, Julio. If you want to be moved out of rotation, just let me know. Okay. All right, great. So Julio is at the top of the speaking order, and then it continues as we have in the chat. Oh, just briefly before Rabbi goes, any urgency on that?
No, not urgent at all. No.
Okay, great. Over to you, Abby.
Right. I will try to speak a little louder this time. My name is Abby. I need, or I'm looking for, a facilitation and mediation, either mentor or co-processor and collaborator to develop and discuss skills and approaches to mediation and facilitation with. This is not urgent, and it could be in Minneapolis and St. Paul in person or virtual. And I suppose I'm negotiable about the payment. I would be most interested in barter or time bank credits. Thank you.
Is up. And you're muted if you're talking, Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve, and we are very much in need of some financial operations consulting at Chi Commons. We have a number of problems that we need to work through. And so I'm looking for anybody who has financial operations experience. This is a urgent need, and we can do this virtually, and we can pay dollars for the right person, or barter or time bank. Check.
Hi, I am Charity. I could use help getting my Spanish fluency back and or translating like my work materials and presentations into Spanish. It is not urgent. The location could be virtual, and I'd be down for barter or money or time bank credits.
Hi again, I'm David. I have of late found myself wearing a lot of hats at Union Cab, and I would like to improve my facilitation skills. It's something that has become increasingly sort of, well, my appreciation of other people's skills has grown a lot through the years, and I feel like I'd like to put in the work. And this is a great community to ask for that kind of help from. So that would be my ask. And this could be in person or virtual. I'm in the Madison area. I would say this is semi-urgent, or even, I mean, better sooner than later for sure. And I would be happy to try and barter. I think that would, or time bank credits would really be ideal. Thank you. Pass.
Over to you, Hillary.
Sorry, this is Hillary. I want to learn about starting a rather elaborate housing co-op. So I need to learn about real estate development, funding options, and also sort of group, like ways that groups of not very knowledgeable people have done this in the past. The urgency is low, and I feel open to payment options or compensation options depending on depending on the situation, I guess.
It's over to you, Martin.
Bueno, Martín, estaría interesado aquí en Madison en cómo aprender a hacer mantenimiento para mi bicicleta para poder tener más facilidad para eso. Y no es urgente, es algo que siempre he querido hacer y podríamos discutir cualquier tipo de pagos, podría ser un trueque con mis habilidades o podría ser por dinero o por alguna moneda local.
Okay, all right, great. So we've managed to accomplish an offers round. We've managed to accomplish a needs round. I would invite you, if you want to do some connection, you can certainly use the chat for that space now. And in the interest of time, I'm going to do a couple of quick things in the last 5 minutes that we have. So apologies that these things are being compressed, But I hope that this has really been a practice that you have become acquainted with, that you might like to experiment with in your own cooperative networks or within your own cooperatives. And I will share again that, if you want to experiment, or just kind of learn more about this particular technique, you can visit this website, offersandneeds.com. And on offersandneeds.com, you do have the ability to, join the mailing list. There will be some maybe advanced training coming in the fall, and then maybe some basic training that will circle back around at the top of next year. We just completed one training round already this year. And so, yeah, if you're interested in this technique, there's actually also a video there. So if you don't want to come to a training, you could watch the video. And if you're accomplished or, skilled at facilitation, you might just pick up the techniques and be able to just run with it on your own. So feel free to do that. This is an open source facilitation technique and process. And, feel free to kind of engage with that as you will. I will invite you, as I'm doing this next thing, to throw a Q in the chat if you have a question, and I will try to get to those before the end. But I want to do one more shift in sharing to move us through. Let me see if my sharing has changed. No, it hasn't. All right, so normally when we're doing this process, I would invite you to drop into this spreadsheet and do some sharing. We don't have time for me to do it in an interactive way. So I'm going to basically just leave this link open, and let me just update that to make sure that everyone with the link can do edits. So I'll leave this link open if folks want to use this spreadsheet. And then I'll give you an example of how the spreadsheet works. So just kind of following on this particular spreadsheet, if you put your name in a field, and I'll just give you an example of that, name, person, what it's going to do is on these two tabs, this offers tab, it's going to duplicate your name in 3 slots, and it'll do the same thing on the needs tab. So you don't need to enter anything in the name field on these 2 tabs. Just start with the participant list and put your email address. This is totally if you want to exchange offers after this workshop. People have a way to find you. And so, yes, you see I've already filled in some spaces for my own offers and my own contact details. And then I've similarly filled in some spaces for my needs and, contact details for that. So again, if you want to exchange after this session, you are totally voluntary. You're invited to kind of fill in some contact details on this spreadsheet, and people will have your information for that. So that's one thing that I'll offer. And then the second thing that I want to offer is the survey. So again, I won't have, normally we try to leave, about 7 minutes for the survey at the end, but I had some crunching at the top of the session. And normally we do these sessions in about 2-hour increments, right? So it's a really long, rich session to be doing all of these exchanges. But that is the survey. I didn't put survey at the end of that. And if you want to provide feedback on this session that you've experienced today, I would invite you to fill out that survey at your leisure. So those are 2 things that I would invite you to. And again, I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share because we are 2 minutes from landing this plane, and just see if there are questions that people want to ask, because as a facilitator, I value ending on time and we will not go over. So are there questions that I can answer before we do go? I see a hand raised by David.
Do you ever facilitate this kind of organizing tool for like an individual cooperative to help build their internal community?
Yes, I am available for direct facilitation. I am available for like peer coaching if someone wants to pick up some elements of this technique before they go through the training. Or if you don't want to do the training, hey, we can just figure out some peer coaching. So I will put a few things of my contact details in the chat for folks who want to follow up on that. And yeah, I am available to talk further.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions that are coming up? Okay. If there are not questions, there's my contact details. If you do want to follow up or just kind of, talk more about the offers and needs market, you've also got my scheduling calendar there if you want to reach out that way. And I think they'll be doing a sort of break between sessions here. So this room will kind of hang out open. So if you want to be in part of a hazy ending and want to ask your questions then, that's cool too. I'll stay around here and offer space to answer questions that we couldn't get to in the session. And yes, would appreciate it if you would fill out that survey. There is a section on there if you want to learn more about the offers and needs market, and I will just forward your information to Post Growth Institute, and they'll stick you on a list to announce when the next training is coming up. So that'll be an opportunity there.
Yep, and I will leave my Zoom open during the break, so feel free to stick around, maybe have those conversations about some trades, offers and needs trades. And Mike, thank you so much. This was a really great presentation. Thank you all for participating. Thanks for Martine for being on tech support and interpreters. So this was great. Thanks. See y'all in 15.
Thank you all.